Anyone can be fast, but how fast can you be while maintaining great technique? That's the key to wrestling. Well, what's up, guys? It's Mighty Q here with Mighty Q's Locker, and today I want to talk to you guys about really the best way to get better at primarily wrestling, and you can use this for other sports as well. But I feel too many people go about learning wrestling moves the wrong way. I feel like there are people that think that just by going and learning a bunch of wrestling moves that's going to make them a better wrestler. And essentially, I want to kind of walk you through how I feel you should go about learning. Like if you've wrestled for less than 5 years, then I think that this can make the jump for you maybe worth 3 to 5 years. Like if this is your first or second year and you kind of follow the steps and things that I'm going to lay out today, you can easily look like you're a fifth, sixth, seventh year wrestler. So, first things first, when you learn a new move, make sure that you don't incorporate any bad habits immediately right from the jump. Like you learn a move and you go to drill it. Be a good teammate and give resistance, but don't give resistance in not allowing your partner to easily set it up. When you first are learning a move, you shouldn't be doing it fast. It should be done in slow motion. You should be putting your partner through a setup. You should be doing whatever lead up to whenever you're going to hit the move. All of that needs to be perfect. All of that needs to be you're putting your partner in the right spot. So that way when you start to hit the move, you know that this position is the correct position that I'm going to want to hit this move from. Everything in wrestling is about positioning. And if you're practicing hitting a move from a wrong position, it's not going to help you in the match. So when you're first learning a move, you're going to go through it in slow motion. You're going to hit your setup. You're going to put your partner in the correct position. Then when you're actually doing whatever the move may be, it still needs to be done in slow motion, and your hands, knees, all of that need to be placed into the correct position. So if you're working on a high crotch to a double leg, you're going to hit one or two setups to put your partner into the right position that you're going to shoot that high crotch on. Then you're going to take the steps. You're going to take your penetration step, your measuring stick step, whatever you want to call it. You're going to make sure that your heel, your toe, your knee all go down in the right place that you want it. You're going to make sure that whichever hand you're shooting with is being placed in the right spot. You're then going to want your trail leg being placed into the right spot, windshield wiper, transfer, make sure whichever is, you guys get my point. There's a lot of really, really little things, and each and every single one of them need to be done correctly and put into the right spot correctly, so that way you build good habits immediately from the start. And the problem is too many people immediately, they get taught a move, they get told to go drill it, and now they're just going to go and they're just wrestling live when they're drilling. They're not actually learning the move. They're just over there wrestling. They're just over there doing whatever they want. Or you have the partner who's being a scarecrow and isn't in a good stance and is just standing there and isn't offering any resistance. That's not a good partner either. So you have the practice heroes that don't allow you to hit anything and are basically just wrestling live with you the entire time. And then you have the exact opposite in the practice dud who just stands there like a scarecrow and offers you no resistance and doesn't help you get any better because they're just standing there, not a good stance, not a good position, offering no anything. So if those two things are you as a practice partner, then stop. Because you're not making yourself better and you're not making your teammates any better. Those are the two worst teammates that you can have in the room, and they're the absolute two worst teammates when it comes to getting better or making any progress. The practice hero, there's a lot of you that are out there, and I could care less how good you are in the room. I really could care less, because I know most practice heroes in the room are absolutely fantastic. They are an absolute stud. They win in virtually every drill. They do everything virtually right in the practice room. But when it comes time to step out on the mat and do it against someone that is an actual competition, I see him get blown out of the water all the time. So if you're a practice hero and you're just whipping up on everybody in practice, go find new partners. Wrestle someone better. Or be a good teammate. And if you know the move and you know what you're doing, then help coach them through the move and make sure that you are in a good position and you're helping them be in the best position possible. But there are too many people out there who show up to practice and have these big egos, and they don't want to lose a single thing that goes on, and so they're not going to help their partner get any better. They're just going to show up out there at practice, and they're going to drill really, really hard, and they're going to wrestle live the entire time. They're not going to let their partner hit any moves. They're not going to let their partner work any technique. They're not letting their partner get any better because they want to feel good that, hey, I was whipping up on Chris today in practice, and man, do I feel great. That's a terrible attitude. That's a terrible mentality. When you're at practice, practice is the best time that you should be trying everything. You should be trying to perfect your technique. You should be trying to make sure that everything you do is crisp and perfect. You don't rise to the occasion when you're in competition. You sink to the level of your preparation. So for all of you practice heroes out there who are just whipping up on everybody, thinking that you're doing everything perfect, you're not. You're not wrestling in good position. Most of the time, your partners could care less. Most of the partners hate you in the room. They don't want to work with you. They don't want to drill with you. Go with someone who's better than you then. And for those of you who are the exact opposite and are the practice dud and are a scarecrow and just stand there because they're like, oh, well, my partner doesn't know what he's doing. I'm just going to stand here. I'm just going to stick my arms out, stand straight up, and just give him every little thing. That's even worse, because you know he's never going to see that in a match. Never in a match is someone just going to be standing straight up with their arms out like, yep, take a shot. Yep, hit whatever move you want. Be in a good stance. Be in a good position. Every shot needs resistance. Like for all of you guys that love lat drops, and I still don't know why, because they're a terrible move. They're one of the easiest throws to stop. But if you're working on lat drops and you need to push back into a guy, that's the whole point of the move. It's I drive in, and as soon as the opponent drives back into me, I go with his momentum, and that's what the throw is. Well, if you're a practice partner who never gives any resistance back and never pushes back and never gives the right reaction to what's needed to hit the move, then your partner's not getting better and you're not getting better. So you wasted another day at practice. You wasted another opportunity that you could have been better. You wasted another opportunity, and now you're going to come back tomorrow worse. So if you're trying to get ready for a tournament, you're trying to get ready for nationals, you're trying to get ready for a duel, you're trying to get ready for whatever you're doing, and that's what happened in practice, and you do that 3 times over, you got worse in each practice. I guarantee it. Going to practice should be fun, and it's because you're getting to wrestle and it's a competition thing. But you shouldn't be winning at practice all the time. I wasn't winning at practice very often, especially when I was beginning wrestling. The first half of my career at practice was I'm not going to say a gauntlet, but there was a lot of days that practice wasn't exactly that much fun because I was wrestling with guys who were so much better than me. I was getting my ass kicked at practice. When we were going live, I'm getting my ass kicked. When we're hard drilling, I'm getting my ass kicked. But it made me better. So many guys go into the mat room with the wrong mentality. If you lose in the mat room, no one cares. There's no scoreboard in there. You have no ankle band on. You're not wearing a singlet. You're in sweats and a long sleeve, busting your ass, getting after it, wrestling on slick mats because everyone's sweaty and the room's humid. No one's keeping score. No one has a practice record. The room is when you try things. The room is where you've been working on something and you perfect it. And you're able to hit that move against anybody. You think Jordan Burroughs just got a double leg magically? No. He practiced it all the time. He made sure that he was in perfect position all the time. He made sure he had perfect technique every rep. And then what happens? You make sure that all those components are there, and then you can hit it on any opponent. Then you're not worrying about when you go into a match, oh man, what is so-and-so going to hit? Oh man, what are they going to hit? Oh man, they hit this move well. Oh, they do this thing well. Instead, they're going to be thinking, oh, I got to watch out for his double leg. Oh, I got to watch out for his single. Oh, I got to watch out for his cradle. Oh, I got to watch out for this. You throw them off your game, off their game. When you get so good at a set of moves that you're able to hit them on anybody, and you start being able to do that in tournaments and duels, and people start seeing you hit these moves on people, and it's like, oh wow, like, man, he couldn't stop that. Man, Tyler's a pretty good wrestler, and he couldn't stop it. Oh man, did you see what he did to Paul? Yeah, man, it was crazy. Like, you start making coaches and other wrestlers have to prepare for it. And so it throws them off of their game. And then when you get really good is when you're able to add a bunch of those moves together. Which is why I always talk about you need 2 moves from every position. You should have 2 shots. Preferably a single and a double. Whatever combination you want. Whether you just want to hit a straight up blast double and you want to hit a sweep single, cool, that's fantastic. Only hit those. Work on those all the time. Work on those until you can hit them on anybody. Hey, if the blast double isn't there, work to set the guy up for a sweep single. And then if you're setting him up for a sweep and the blast double's there, boom, hit the double. You're setting up for the double and he gives you the sweep single, take the sweep single. You should have 2 to 3 setups for each one of those shots. So that way, as you're trying to get him in one position, if the other one ends up happening to be there, you get to take it. If you're trying to set up for the double leg and the sweep is there, you take the sweep and you finish the move. Thank you. 2-point takedown. And if you're in college, that's now 3. Thank you very much. I'll take my points. Then, when you're on top, you should have 2 pinning combinations. That's all you need. You need 2. You start working for the half. If the half isn't there, let's say you'll have a chicken wing. Okay, you start working the chicken wing. You go back and forth working those 2 moves. If the chicken wing isn't there, you work at it. Up, the half's there. Jump on it. Take it. Work the half, work the half, work the half. You didn't get it? Switch back to the chicken wing. Work the half some more. Switch back. Switch. That's all you have to do. Take 2 moves. And if you're starting on top in referee's position, you should have 2 breakdowns. Maybe you got a tight waist ankle. Maybe you like the chop. Either way, switch back and forth from one of the 2 of them. You're back on the whistle. Hey, I'm going to hit a tight waist. And you know it. Before you even get on top, you know what breakdown you're going to hit. Hey, you see he's sitting on his ankles. All right, I'm chopping the arm. I'm going bump and chop here. I'm going bump and chop here. And you get on. That way, you already know what you're hitting. You're just ready for the referee to move his hand. You see the hand move, boom, boom and chop. Bump and chop, go. Take the thinking out of it. Let the thinking be done before you hit. Referee's position is the perfect time. It should be the same on bottom. You should have a switch and a stand-up. Maybe you like a sit-out. Maybe you like a Granby. Maybe, a Peterson. Whatever it is, I do not care. Pick 2 moves. Pick 2 moves. People always say, oh, I need to learn all these moves. No, you don't. I guarantee you don't hit one of them in any position good, let alone 2. You should have A double leg you like and a single leg you like. Pick one, stick to those two. When on top, you should have a pinning combination. Find two of them, stick to those two. When you're on bottom, find two ways to change the position, whether it be a reversal or an escape. Like I said, switch, stand up. That's all you really need. Get really, really good at those two. And that way, when you're on bottom and before you get set in referee's position, you should know, I'm hitting a stand-up here. I'm hitting a switch here. You shouldn't be thinking on bottom, oh man, oh man, oh man, oh man, what's going to happen here? What's going to happen here? Oh, I don't know. As soon as you get set, I'm hitting a stand-up. I'm hitting a stand-up. I'm hitting a stand-up. Here we go. Boom. I'm hitting a stand-up. Ready for that. Ready for the hand to move. Ready for the hand to move. Hitting a stand-up as soon as the hand moves. As soon as I see his cheeks puff up, boom, I'm gone. Hitting a stand-up. That arm's throwing and I'm stepping out. Here we go. And as soon as you see it, go. So many people hesitate. So many people have no idea that that's what they're hitting off the whistle. And that's why they don't get out from bottom. Because in the best opportunity, when it is 50-50, you both are not moving. You both have no advantages. As soon as you see movement from the referee, whether it be his hand starts to move, his cheeks puff up to blow the whistle, you hear the whistle, it's got to be now. You need to make that decision before you're there. Drag racers, they know they're stepping on the gas as soon as they see that light change. You need to be the exact same way. So instead of stepping on the gas, you go, okay, I'm hitting a switch. That's your step on the gas. Now all you have to do is wait for the signal that you can hit your switch. Just be intent on it. How many moves is that? Do you think you can comprehend having 2 shots, 2 breakdowns, 2 pinning combinations, and 2 escapes? That's 8 moves. I'll make it an even number for you. Find 2 setups and hit those 2 setups for each of your 2 shots. That's 10 total moves that you need to know. 10. I didn't say 50. I didn't say 35. I didn't say 100. Learn 10 moves. And be so good at those 10 moves that it doesn't matter who you're wrestling. It doesn't matter what the situation is. It doesn't matter which position you're in. You always know you have these 10 moves to rely on. You can hit these 10 moves on anybody in top, bottom, or neutral. That's it. 10 moves. So, do you think you can get better? Do you think you can digest, hey, all I need to know is 10 moves? And it's really, you need to know 2 moves because you only need to know 2 moves from each position. You should have 2 shots. And to make it simple, you could have 2 setups. And that setup works for both shots. So it's even simpler. You really like an arm drag. And maybe you really like a head tap. I don't know. There's a zillion of them. Pick 2, pick 3. That's it. And then when you do get really good at those 10, and you are absolute, then it makes it really easy to start to learn the other moves as well. Because then you learn the other moves the same way that you just learned those 10. But until you have that like foundation of, hey, I hit these 10 moves really well, then you're kind of building a skyscraper with no floor. To build a really, really tall skyscraper in a giant building, you have to have a really, really solid foundation that runs deep. It can't be thin. It can't be shaky. Can't have a bunch of cracks in it. If I want to build a really tall building, I have to go down first. I have to dig deep, set a really, really, really deep base that is solid, and then I can build up really, really tall. But the problem is, most people don't want to dig down really, really deep. Most people want to dig down 10 feet, call it good, and start building a really tall building. Well, as soon as the wind blows, that thing is going to tip right over. You have to dig really, really deep. At the very beginning, you have to dig really, really deep. It has to suck at the beginning, or it's going to suck at the beginning. And maybe you got the great machinery. Maybe you dig down really, really fast. It really only takes 20 hours. The first 20 hours that you work on anything, you're going to learn 80% of what it is. So how fast can you get those first 20 hours out of the way? The first 20 wrestling practices you go to, from the first one to the 20th one, you know 80% of the sport. You've wrestled on your feet. You've learned stuff. You've done neutral. You've been on top. You've been on bottom. That's it. You've experienced the majority of the sport in those first 20 practices. Now it's just how good can you get at all the things that you just did. And the more time you spend at it, the more effort you give to it, the better you're going to get. All work works. So be focused. Be intent with what you're doing. And that's why I'm trying to say, go learn, 10 moves. And from 10 moves, you can expand. Because each of those 10 moves, you can learn a variation on. So it goes from 10 moves to 20 moves. And then you learn a different variation and you add another 10. So now you're at 30 moves with only slightly tweaking the already 10 things that you're doing. And you start to think about, you can add in all these other little tweaks and all these other little things. And next thing you know, you start to amass this giant arsenal of moves and different things that you can do. But it starts with, how good can you be with the first 10? Then from your first 10, you slightly tweak to 20. Then from those 20, you kind of start to understand that there's other things that you have then learned and have done now, and you apply the same learning technique. So maybe you go learn, 5 new moves. So now you're at 25. You learn another, 2 variations. Very quickly, you're at 30, 40, 50 moves without really trying. But it started with 10. And that's what matters, because those 10 are how deep are you going to dig? How much time are you going to spend learning this double leg? How much time are you going to spend learning this half? How much time are you going to spend learning this stand-up? If you take the time in the very beginning to do the very, very, very basics, the things that predominantly rule the sport, most people don't know. Half is the number one pinning combination at virtually every tournament every weekend. A half. Everyone goes, I've never been pinned with a half. No one ever pins anybody with a half. It's the number one pinning combination at every tournament every weekend virtually. So should you take time to learn a half? Does it work? When you hit it correctly, yes. The same goes for a stand-up. I could never get out with a stand-up. But yet you look at most escape points come as a way of stand-up. Most points from bottom result as a stand-up, not reversals. So how good are you going to get at a stand-up? Most shots are some version of a high crotch or a double leg. Guys aren't hitting ankle picks and low singles and sweep singles and cobra doubles and throws. They're hitting a high crotch or they're hitting a double leg. Those are the moves that everyone hits. So how much better can you hit those moves than everyone else? Because I guarantee you it actually isn't that hard. You can probably spend an extra hour a week on just the basics and the fundamentals. And you'll see how much better you can get than everybody. You'll see the leaps and bounds that you'll start to make just by focusing down on those 10 moves. Because you have to have a base. You have to have a footing. So until you get that footing, quite frankly, you're really not going to learn. So to wrap it all up, be a better practice partner. Don't be a practice hero. Don't be a practice dud. Give your partner the needed amount of resistance to help him hit the move, but make sure that you guys are going through it in the fashion of start slow, and the better you get at hitting it, the faster you can go. And when it comes to learning moves, be super basic. Learn 2 from each position and learn 2 setups. Then once you get really, really good at those, slightly tweak each of them. So it's basically a new move. And you can learn a new one at each position. So then you have 3 at each position. And that's really about it. And you can take this same formula and you can apply it to football. You can apply it to golf. You can apply it to baseball. Do the exact same thing. You're a pitcher. Okay, learn a fastball and a changeup. Once you get really, really good with those 2 pitches, then you can start to learn a slider, a curveball, a cutter. But until you have a fastball and a changeup, I recommend you don't start throwing a slider or a curve. You can take it and apply it to everything. Start with the basics, be super focused, and get super technical. You're going to wipe the competition. All right, guys, that's it for me. A little bit longer on the show today, but definitely want to get in depth and definitely wanted to kind of go with that and let you guys know my thoughts and my feelings. So this is one for me that, like, the reason I say this is because this is kind of how I went about it. I was one of the most technical wrestlers I knew. I could describe to you, and I learned each and every move in depth, which is why I had a very large arsenal of moves, because this was kind of the method that I took. I predominantly hit double legs on everyone when I was a kid, and until I essentially was able to hit double legs on everyone is then when I started learning other moves. It was just kind of natural that I shifted in and started learning other things. And once I started learning those other things, I then took the same approach, and I just wanted to be as fundamentally and technically sound with each and every move. I wasn't as strong as most guys when I was wrestling. I was longer and lengthier than most, and I knew I had better technique. I was pretty quick, but I wasn't like the fastest. I was more technical. I won most of my matches because I was more technical. I didn't make mistakes. Even if I ended up in a bad position, I knew how to get myself to a positive position. And I just, again, out-techniqued everybody. Most people don't have good technique. Most people learn a bunch of moves and don't know how to hit any of them. I learned them one by one and was super technical with each of them, which is why I can teach any of them. So I will talk to you guys later. This was a fun show. Hopefully you guys learned something. And if you did, and you did like this show, I just ask that you share it with a friend. All right, guys. We'll talk to you later. Bye.